Hi, fourth graders. Today we're going to begin our review for topic 11. So we'll start on page 434, the vocabulary review. What I'd like for you to do is to pause this video after instructions and do this on your own. And then turn back on the video and we'll go over it together. Then we'll proceed with the reteaching pages for practice. So go ahead and take a pause and then come back when you've completed what you can do. All right, you should have completed page 434 as best as you can. Let's go over these together. Number 1, these are true or false. Graphs are used to display and represent data. You should have true for that, or T. Number 2, a data set is a collection of pieces of information. That is also true. Number 3, a table is never used to display data. That is false. We do use tables. This would be a table to display data. Number 4, a line plot shows data along a number line. That is true. Number 5, a line plot may have more points than there are numbers in the data set. That is false. All right, write always, sometimes, or never. Number 6, a line plot blank displays data. Always. A line plot always displays data. Number 7, the scale on a line plot is sometimes numbered using fractions. We can say sometimes there because sometimes it's just whole numbers, other times fractions or mixed numbers. And number 8, a number line is never numbered out of order. It wouldn't make sense. We need to always keep our numbers in order. Number 9 says use at least 3 terms from the word list, which we forgot to go over. That's data set, graph, line plot, number line, scale, and table. All of these words would be in your vocabulary on Schoology. They're with the definitions. They're also in the back of Envision 1 in the glossary defined for you. If you ever have any trouble with vocabulary, refer back to the Schoology page or the back of Envision book, textbook number 1, volume 1. So back to number 9, use at least 3 terms from the word list to describe another way Patrick can display his data. So we've got Patrick's walking log for 2 weeks. We've got distances and days. So for 1 mile, 3 days. 2 miles, 2 days. 3 miles, 4 days. 4 miles, 5 days. These are the number of days that he walked these distances. So your answers may be different, but you may have something like Patrick can display the data set shown in the table in a line plot. He could have drawn a line plot to represent his data. He can draw a number line and use a scale. Remember, a scale helps us to interpret it. All right, so that would be using these 3 words from the word list. Any of the sentences you have here are going to be, I'm sure, different, or the words that you chose, and that is fine. These were just examples. All right, so we're going to move on to the reteaching on page 435. Remember, the left-hand column reviews each section, so topic 11.1, 11.2, and then these would be practice problems. So the line plot shows the number of hours Mrs. Mack was at the gym each day during a 2-week period. Remember, each dot above the line plot represents one value in the data set. So what I'd like you to do is to pause the video, answer these questions using this line plot. You're going to do the same for set B and then for set C. You will not do set D. When you've done the best that you can, I want you to turn back on this video that you've paused and we'll go over them together. All right, so you should have paused this video and done as best as you can the work on these 435 and 436. We'll go over those together now. How many days did Mrs. Mack go to the gym? Remember, each dot is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Would represent a visit to the gym. So 11 days. What is the least amount of time Mrs. Mack spent in the gym? Now it starts at 1, but you notice she does not have a dot. There are no dots above 1, so that means she did not go for 1 hour. The least amount of time she spent was right here. This one's not labeled. This is 1, this is 1 2/4. So this must be 1 1/4. So the least amount of time she spent was 1 1/4 hours. Number 3 says, how many hours was Mrs. Mack at the gym during the 2 weeks? This is where you need to add up each of these. So 1 1/4 plus 1 2/4 is 2 3/4. 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus this would be 6 3/4. So we're at 6 3/4 as of here. These are both 2 1/4 because this is 2 2/4 and that's 2. So we're going to add those up, 2, 4, 6. So that's another 6 3/4. 2 2/4 plus 2 3/4 would give us 4 5/4. 5/4 is the same as a whole plus another 1/4. So that's going to give us 5 1/4 for those two. And then we've got 3 plus 3 is 6. So we're going to add, we'll add our fractions first. 3/4 plus 3/4 is 6/4 plus 1 more 4th is 7/4. 7/4 is the same as 1 whole, because 4/4 we would take away, and 3/4. And then we're going to add this to our whole number. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus another 6 is 18, plus 5 is 23, plus this 1 makes 24, and 3/4. We kind of went quickly, but I just added all of the mixed numbers here. 1 1/4, 1 2/4. We had to add 2 twice, 2 1/4 3 times, and so forth until we added all of the times that she spent at the gym to get 24 3/4 hours. All right, let's move down to set B. In set B, it asks us to remember to choose a reasonable scale for your number line. A zoo in Australia studied platypuses. Their masses are recorded below. Draw a line plot for the set of data. So here's our line plot. Looks like a number line. We could use a straight edge or ruler to make sure we're straighter. The first thing we're going to do is look for our smallest mass, which we've got 1 6/8, 1 5/8. Okay, so we cannot start lower than 1 5/8. We notice that our highest is 2 4/8, possibly, no, 2 6/8, 2 and looks like 6/8. Has to be represented. So it looks like we must go by eighths all the way to 2 6/8. So 1 5/8, 1 6/8, 1 7/8, 2 whole, 2 1/8, 2 8, 3 8, 4 8, 5 8. So we'll just have to bring our 2 6/8 down a little bit. Okay, so 1 6/8, 1 7/8, 1 8/8 is the same as 2 whole, 2 1/8, 2 2/8, 2 3/8, 2 and 4/8, 2 and 5/8, 2 and 6/8. So let's start with our data here, 1 and 6/8. We put a mark there. We've got a 2, 2 and 2/8. See how I'm checking them off so I don't forget that I've already marked it 2 and 4/8, 1 and 6/8, 2 and 6/8. We've got 1, 2, 3 more 2s. 1, 2, 3. Mark those off. 1 and 6/8 again. 1 and 7/8. 1 and 5/8. 2 and 2/8. 1 and 7/8. And 2 and 4/8. So to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I should have 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Yes, 15 masses represented. All right. I would put a title also with my line plot, platypus masses in kilograms. It's the same thing as our title and our data chart. What is the difference in the mass of the platypus with the greatest mass and the platypus with the least mass? Remember, our greatest is 2 and 6/8, and our least is 1 and 5/8. To find the difference, remember we subtract the greatest. We start with the greatest, take away the least. 6/8 take away 5/8 is 1/8. 2 take away 1 is 1 whole. And that would be in kilograms. All right, then set C. Remember that you can use equations to help solve problems with data from the line plots. For 1 through 3, use the line plots at the left. All right, so explain how to find the total weight of the trash Freddie picked up. This is similar to the problem on the previous page. The total weight, again, we would add 1/2, 1, 1.5, plus 1.5, plus 1.5, plus 2. So you're gonna add the value of each dot. Each dot is represented, so 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because we had 5 at the 2.5 mark, and then 3 at 3. So we would add the value of each dot. Write and solve an equation to find T, the difference between the greatest amount Freddie collected and the least amount he collected. So I noticed that this is Carly's, this is Freddie's. So we actually would be, for this one they were talking about Freddie, we would go to the greatest, 2.5. And we would take away the least amount he collected, which was 1/2, and that equals the amount of trash he collected. The difference between the greatest and the least. And number 3 says, what is the sum of Carly's most frequent weight and Freddie's most frequent weight? And explain. All right, so Carly's most frequent weight was 2.5. And again, the sum of her most frequent weight and Freddie's most frequent weight. And Freddie's most frequent weight was 1.5, because that's where most of the dots are. So we would add that with Carly's 2.5 to get 1/2 plus 1/2 makes a whole. 1 whole plus 1 plus 2 equals 4 pounds. All right, again, we're not doing set D, so this is your review for today. We will continue with the review in the next video, assessment practice for topic 11. Would like you to do that on your own before watching the video. I will remind you and have you pause the video if you've not already, so that you have a chance to practice on your own.